a company that seems to be run very well, and that's Johnson & Johnson. They beat estimates on the top and bottom line in the second quarter, with profit jumping 42%. The company also raised its sales guidance. Shares right now, let's take a look. You can see shares are trading down a little bit more aggressively than they had, almost 2% off at this point. We spoke with Joe Wolk. He's Johnson & Johnson's CFO, about drug pricing.
I think the bigger concerns with respect to the healthcare system and drug pricing today is really getting hands into the patients, getting money into the hands of the patients who are suffering from copays on a monthly basis. If you think about the industry today is paying about $300 billion in rebates and discounts. About 5 years ago, that was $150 billion. Net price has gone down pretty substantially across not just Johnson & Johnson's portfolio, but a number of our competitors.
Angelique Hamlani joins us now. She's a Yahoo Finance correspondent who was paying attention to that interview. And what else jumped out to you about what he was saying? Because there's so many topics with this company.
Right. There are a lot of topics. There are a lot of brands, and that's part of the problem, right? Or benefit to them, actually. I did notice that in their earnings report, they did talk about, interestingly enough, baby products being part of, the consumer segment that helped boost them. And when they're talking about list prices, right, and getting to the consumer, which is what he was just talking about, that is something that the industry overall has been focusing on. And they've been saying over and over again, that's him basically setting up the argument of pushing it on the PBMs, the pharmacy benefits managers, the middlemen, bringing that argument back up into why their prices are still so high.
Yeah, we were just talking about potential regulation of tech companies. Obviously, healthcare is under a lot of scrutiny, too, because of the high costs there. But it doesn't seem like Johnson & Johnson sees that as a fundamental threat to its business, certainly. As we talked about with the CFO, they're looking ahead to about a dozen potentially billion-dollar drugs going forward.
It's not just the drugs. They're also working in sort of like the innovation startup space. They have the J Labs that they have as an incubator. So they're just so widespread in terms of what they have to offer and what they're looking into that I think that it really is just a segment that gets hit.
But, we also spoke to the J&J CFO about the importance of acquisitions for the company.
Right.
We pride ourselves on being a partner of choice for collaborative deals. We get innovative not just with products, but also with deal making as well, where we can bring through with our clinical development expertise products to market in a lot faster time frame because of the competency that we have there.
Well, what do you make of that? I mean, they're going to invest almost $11 billion in R&D this year.
They can, and it has a lot to do with that incubator space and their focus on that, right? So they have all these various products that they can focus on, whether or not it's technology or traditional drugs or specialty drugs. They have such a wide variety that it's really easy for them to kind of get into it.
What are the risks going to be, though, for J&J, right? I mean, it seems like, as you say, they're pretty diversified. They're huge. But they do have ongoing litigation that's happening, both related to the opioid crisis and also their talc product.
Right.
Is that it, or are there other things that investors need to be watching out for?
What I've been hearing is that they just are too big to get hit. Even when you talk about the talc powder case, people know that as like one of their products, but when you talk about the opioids, not everyone really knows, and it's a smaller market that they had. I think even the CFO said that as well. And so when you're looking at it, from the broad scale of things, it really is such a big company. How many consumers really know some of these brands that are even affiliated with the company?
Yeah, I think all the drug makers do face policy risk on prescription drug prices, which is coalescing into a bipartisan issue where you've got President Trump saying he intends to do something to lower drug prices, and you've got all the Democrats lining up with their plans. There's not agreement on what to do about this, but when you see both political sides kind of coming together on it, I mean, it could be 10 years, but it suggests that there could be some action in the future.
Yeah, that we'll be talking about it for a while. All right, Anjali, thank you so much. Appreciate it.